guys, I've got a couple of things to say today. Pellets to consider. Right, okay. Depending on your gun, I'll get myself a bit closer. Depending on your gun, will depend on the pellet. Depending on how stealthy you are, depends on the pellet. Right, okay. Here I have a .2 clear BB pellet. They're good to be stealthy, but yet crap when it comes to accuracy. You can barely see it. When it's on the ground, it reflects whatever's underneath it, so you can't see it whatsoever, which is quite cool. You also get tracer pellets, which you can see. They basically have an intent. You have to have a tracer unit on your gun, and it fires a beam of light down your barrel to illuminate the pellet. And basically, the pellet is basically charges up with the light, and it glows in the dark, or glows in general, and you can see it when it flies. Depending on your power of your gun will depend on what pellets you get. Never use the pellets that come free with the gun that you've just bought. Probably. This is because you get a little sort of pack like this. This is because they're not made. They're cheaply made. They are semicircular pellets and deformed pellets. They might look absolutely fine. Might also look like BB pellets to you, but take a closer look. You'll find actually in them you'll find there is a line that goes all the way around, and you'll also find that they're not perfectly round, and they are prone to block your barrel up. They'll scratch the inside of the barrel. They'll screw around with the half up as well. So they're not really a decent thing to put in your gun, even though they are free, and I wouldn't really use them, to be honest. Only in the worst case scenario, but if you're going to use them, you might have to think about getting a new gun after using them. What you're going to do, you're going to buy yourself some decent pellets. These are .2 pellets. .2 pellets. This is a bottle of 2,000 shots. Obviously there's not 2,000 shots in there, there's about 1,000 shots left. These are high grade BB pellets. They cost a fair bit, but they're better than getting the cheaper rubbish ones because they'll just break your gun. Basically they go through a lot of polishing and get through any ridges or deformities to make sure they're properly round. The power of the pellet and the weight of the pellet is dependent on the power of the gun. So for example, like these, that's a bottle of pellets, Blaster Devils, 3,000 rounds, .3. So I've already explained this in another video, but basically the weight of the pellet is dependent on the power that your gun outputs. So basically, if your gun is shooting around, let's say, 174 feet per second, that is really, really terrible, by the way. You know that actually the pellets that you should be, firing should be around actually .7s, and you can't actually get them. How I work that out is you get the feet per second, so if it's 174, you minus 100 from it, that gives 74 left. You put a decimal place 3 times, that ends up with .7. .7 is not really a pellet, so closest to that is .12s. So they're your pellets to use for a, near 200 feet per second gun. You're going around 300, 330, which is usual standard skirmishing power on the field sort of a rule. It's going to be 230 because you've minus 100 from it. So you know that you're going to have a maximum of .23s, .23s. So closest to that would be .20s. So you're looking at a gun with, 330. Also 360. Do exactly the same equation, which is 260, and 3 decimal points is .26s. So for example, if you have a sniper rifle or a very powerful gun that's just shooting around 450, nearly 500, you know that if you manage that's 350. So you know that's 0.35s that you actually should be firing rather than, you know, whatever you think you should be firing. Obviously the weight of the pellet is dependent on how far the pellet goes. So if you have a really, really ridiculously heavy pellet, the pellet is not going to fly. It will fly perfectly straight, but you won't have the distance and the power behind it to propel it, you know. But if you have a lighter weight pellet, you know, it's going to fire a longer distance, but it's going to be a lot less accurate. What I would recommend is, if you're firing, 450 feet per second, I would recommend, using 0.3s rather than 0.35s, because 0.3s, they give you the power plus the accuracy, rather than if you're using 0.4s or 0.5s, they'll give you the accuracy but they won't give you the power, and sometimes you need the power in order to get the distance. So if you're firing 100, 150 yards, you're going to need the power behind it in order to hit that 150 yard mark, rather than falling short at 100, which would be a bit crap. So that's been my talk on pellets today. Thanks for watching, guys. If you got any questions or anything, just shove them in the comment box. Thanks, guys. See you later.